Hi, it's Phil Allwood here, the COO over at SolarCraft in Novato, California. And today I am going to talk to you about your PG&E solar true-up bill. And if you've ever taken a look at your true-up bill, it's a little confusing. So let me explain. Here we go. The bill consists typically of about 6 to 8 pages, and I'm going to walk through the first 3 to 4 pages with you to make it clear as to what PG&E is billing for. The first page of the bill consists of just a summary of what the electric charges are. Now here we have a blow-up of what's in the upper right portion of the first page. Now with this customer's bill, they pay PG&E for gas charges as well as electricity. The current gas charge in this case is $119.22, and they pay that monthly throughout the year. They also have an amount due on their previous statement, which was likely their gas charge from the previous month. You'll also see that there are the total NEM charges here. That's the net energy metering charges. It is the true-up amount. And you have the current electric monthly charges, which is a minimum delivery fee. If you take these two numbers, add them together, it comes out to $711.50. I want you to remember that number because we're going to reference it on the next slide. But before I go there, I just want to go over the box below, which is your net energy metering summary and your true-up. And what this shows is that the NEM charges before taxes is $818.94. Each month for the last year, you paid about $10 a month, so about $120, and that is credited to your NEM true-up bill. So $117.62 is credited. There are a little bit of taxes, 66 cents, and the amount of your true-up bill is $701.98, which you could see up here at the top. Okay, so now remember this $711.50. On the next page, we have a electric charges breakdown summary. So this is a page that consists of showing what your generation charges are. This is the amount of energy you purchased from PG&E in terms of the amount per kilowatt hour. Now, in addition to the generation charges, PG&E charges transmission fees, distribution, electric public purpose programs, nuclear decommissioning, wild fund charges, competition transition charges, energy cost recovery amounts, taxes, and others. What these exactly are, I can't even tell you, and I'll tell you what, PG&E reps often can't tell you either. So just believe and understand that they exist and you are responsible for paying them, and they are broken down into your bill. Now, on this page, there is an explanation of some of these taxes, but not all of them. So, from the previous page, I asked you to remember that number, $711.50. Well, here it is again. That amount of your true-up bill plus that minimum monthly fee of $9.52 added together equals $711. Okay, so the 701, which is your true-up bill, plus that 952. So remember that number, 711.50, which is a 701 and some change. And remember this number, the $343.34. We're going to reference that in just a moment. I hope this isn't getting too confusing, but this is a specialty of PG&E. So let me try to clarify some more. The following page. This is where all the meat and potatoes are, okay? The bottom right corner of the page gives you a description of how your true-up bill is calculated. Then there are some additional tables that we will go over as well. So let's start with this bottom right corner. It's zoomed in here on the right side of the page. Let me start by just reading what they have to say about how your true-up bill is calculated. So it says, this is your true-up statement. You're being billed for your total NEM charges before taxes, minus your total electric minimum delivery charge, in addition to any applicable charges and taxes. So that's PG&E's way of trying to clarify things, but it is still somewhat confusing. So let's go on. Since this is your true-up statement, all electric usage charges and credits are reset to zero starting with your next billing cycle. Okay, so again, every 12 months, PG&E has this true-up bill, and then it goes back to zero, and you build up with the net amount of energy that you will either owe PG&E or they may credit to you. Every 12 months, this is reset to zero. The next paragraph, the minimum delivery charge, is billed monthly and credited at true-up if the total NEM charges before taxes are greater than your cumulative minimum delivery charges. So here we have the total NEM charges before taxes. That's $818.94. That amount is greater than the total electric minimum delivery charges that you already paid for over the past 12 months. Again, approximately $10 per month, a little bit less in this case, plus a little bit of taxes. And that total amount is $701.98. So here we have that number again. It's your total NEM charges due. If we look at the table in the lower left corner of the page, it shows a monthly breakdown of your minimum delivery charges and your energy charges. So again, the minimum delivery charges, you can see they're about $10 a month, except for the first month when the solar was first installed in the middle of the month, so this was prorated. And the end result is $117.62. Now, the reason that these vary between 1018, 1051, 986 is because it's actually about 33 cents per day. And depending if the month is 30 days, 31 days, 28 days of February, or if PG&E decides to charge for a full month, or sometimes their billing period is a little bit less. That's why it varies a little bit. Now let's look at the energy charges. The energy charges you see are the amount of energy times the kilowatt hours. Okay, so here we have some negative numbers, which means that this customer actually exported more energy to the grid than they took from the grid. So they built up credits with PG&E for all of these months. After that, for these months, these numbers are positive, and that means that more energy was purchased from the grid than was sent back to the grid. At the end of the year, the amount of energy purchased from PG&E is $343.34. Now, if you remember from that summary slide with the total energy charges followed by all those taxes, the wildfire fees and nuclear decommissioning fees and distribution, transmission, etc., this was the top number on the page. So that references this number here. Looking at the table at the top of the page now, again, this is the billing for, it goes through every month of the past year, and it gets into the details of the net peak usage in kilowatt hours and the net off-peak usage in kilowatt hours. So let me explain what that is. Most rate plans are on a time of use schedule, which means that during certain times of the day, and in most cases it's between 4 and 9 p.m., PG&E actually charges more during these peak times because that's when the grid is taxed. Most people use a lot more energy during those times, and PG&E wants to discourage people from using energy, so they charge a little bit more. So if during those periods when PG&E charges more, you're able to export your solar energy back to the grid, they'll actually give you credits at that higher dollar value. Now the catch is, how many credits and how much could you export during the hours of 4 p.m. to 9 p.m.? Probably not much. It's near the end of the day or it's nighttime. So you'll see that these numbers are all positive because people are generally pulling from the grid instead of exporting. Now, during all those other times, from 9 p.m. throughout the night, into the morning, into the early afternoon when the sun is shining, those are off-peak times. And excess energy is often exported back to the grid, and therefore you can see there are these negative numbers when energy is exported back and PG&E is providing credit during these months. During other months, energy is pulled from the grid, and this customer has positive kilowatt hours pulled from the grid. If you take the peak plus the off-peak, that's the total net usage, right? So 9 plus a negative 192 kilowatt hours equals a total credit for that month of minus 183 kilowatt hours. Now here we have it in dollar form before taxes. Here we have it in dollar form after taxes. Now you might note that before, in the table on the previous page, it was $343 in terms of kilowatt hour charges, and here we have $819.60. What is going on here, right? How could PG&E confuse us so much so quickly? So what they are doing is they are charging that $343 for all the kilowatt hour charges, but when they show us this table, they include the distribution charges, the nuclear decommissioning fees, the wildfire fees, etc., etc. They put it all in here, and $819.60 after the minimum of, I think it was 66 cents additional tax was in there. So is PG&E making this clear? Absolutely not. But I just want to show you that there is some sense of what is going on with this. The following page shows a graphic representation of what we just went through. So here you could see in this graph there is excess energy being exported back to the grid. Here, this is energy that is being pulled from the grid, okay, during these months. This is in dollar values. In this next graph over here, this is the cumulative NEM balance in dollars. So at the beginning of the year, this customer is doing quite well and banking a lot, and then later in the year, when they use more energy than pulling from the grid than they export, they actually acquire a bill, and that ends up at that $818, $819 at the end of the year. So, lastly, I want to talk about the minimum delivery charge. So again, this is a fee that you get every month, and it's the minimum amount that as a solar customer you're going to be paying. So quite often PG&E breaks down their billing period into multiple sub-periods for some reason. It's unbeknownst to me. But here we have February 24th to the 28th. It's a 5-day period, and 5 days times 32.854 cents equals $1.64. So again, the minimum delivery charge is about 33 cents per day. It's $1.64 for the 24-day period. After that, it's $7.88. The total minimum delivery charges for this billing period are $9.52. So getting back to the beginning, if we took that $701.98, which is the NEM true-up amount, plus the $9.52, you end up with $711.50, which is that charge seen on page 2 at the very beginning of this. Now, if you weren't confused at the beginning, you may be more confused now, but hopefully not. Hopefully this added some clarity. I would encourage you to look at your bill, to look at this video again, and after looking at this video once or twice, it should start to make sense. Basically, it comes down to this. You get billed once a year. Excess energy that you pull from the grid, you get charged for once a year. If you actually export more energy than you use for the entire year, PG&E typically rolls those credits over to the following year. PG&E charges for a bunch of extra taxes and fees. They wrap that into the true-up bill. They credit you for the minimum delivery charges. And at the end of the year, you owe a certain amount, and you pay that bill, and it starts over from zero. So there you have it. Hope this added some clarity. And if you have further questions, contact us at service@solarcraft.com.